Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, medical astrologer, master of numerology, the creator of the chakra balance numerology cosmic energy forecast deck, a mom and a wife. And we're still in 2022, at least for another couple of months. I want to start off by reminding you to share, like, and comment on today's show. I always like to know what it is you like about the show. Do you like the actual energy? Do you like the healing work? Do you like the card reading? Do you like the guest story? I think it's all of the above. I would like to hope so. So share, like, and comment. Now, hopefully you got to see last week's show, but if in fact you forgot to watch or you were busy just doing something else, you can definitely go back and watch it. Last week's episode, which I had my amazing guest, Nick Rafter, he shared his journey of spiritual communication. And you can watch that on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, YouTube, and also right here for that matter. So super excited for that. Now, again, share, like, and comment on today's show. And today is a big one because the guest who I have coming on is actually coming on for the very first time. I'm actually going to be meeting her today because I've never met her before. But before we go into that, let me just do some shout outs here in reference to all my amazing partners that keep this show going week after week after week. And there's a list, but I'm going to move through it quite quickly so you all know. We have Jill Monkman, who's our shamanic healing practitioner and also wellness advocate. CJ Ives Lopez, author and publisher of the Author's Porch podcast and magazine. Katie Foss and Amy Martin, the host of Intuition of the Soul. As I mentioned, Nick Rafter, real estate agent and also editor, writer, and journalist. Kendra Greer, our astrologer. Gabriella, she's our medical intuitive and founder of the Alive Health Solution. Dr. Terry Morse, doctor of natural medicine. And last but not least, as mentioned, my amazing guest, Reverend Nancy Ruse, and I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, maybe not. And she's our international author and artist. And I'm really excited to hear about her story today. After all, today's title, Never Broken. That itself, I think, says a lot. But before we get there, let's just talk about some energy that's going on. This is the last week of Virgo being in the sun. The sun is going to be moving into Libra as of the 21st, 22nd, depending on where you are in the world. And in addition to that, we're also going to be, I like to use the word, celebrating the fall solstice. That's a lot of energy within that. And then in addition to the sun rotating, interesting factor, as the sun rotates into Libra, Mercury is going to go backwards into Virgo. It's still retrograde, but it's going to go back into Virgo and spend a little time there. So as the sun moves out of Virgo and move into Libra, Mercury, which is currently in Libra, is going to go back into Virgo. So that's going to be some interesting energy right there. And you might be asking yourself, well, why is that so interesting? Well, let's just break it down. Mercury is our planet of communication. It also rules technology, so really make sure you check in on your technology, back everything up, support it. It also rules your cause. So pay attention to your cause for those who need to, who have a really strong Mercury energy, pay attention to that. And then in addition to Virgo and Libra, Virgo is all about how we organize and schedule things into our lives. It's also about structure and boundaries, health, fitness, and wellness. Libra is about balance and justifying our schedules, justifying our contracts, justifying the word marriage. And I quote that because it's not just your traditional marriage of who you're married to, let's say legally speaking, like husband and wife, your partners. It's also all the things you're married to based on your habits, your beliefs, your programmings, your philosophy. So because Mercury's going to fall back into Virgo, it's going to give you an opportunity to sort of reflect a little bit more on your schedule, your routines, what needs to change, where do you want to bring more balance? After all, the sun's going to be moving into Libra's energy. So really some strong energy going on as we experience this fall solstice that we have going on. And moving into next week's energy, we have a lot of shiftings going on as well. After all, we have, let's see, we have the new moon taking place on the 25th in Virgo. And then we also have Venus entering Libra at the 29th. So there's a lot going on, but we'll talk about that maybe later or next week for that matter. So how are we feeling with all this amazing energy going on? Fun note, and maybe you might want to circle it, Pluto will be going direct as of October 8th. So that's not too far away. That's a little less than 2 weeks away from now, or maybe 2.5 weeks away from now. And I'm kind of curious to know how that's going to work on your personal charts and what's going to unfold for you. After all, Pluto is our planet of demolition, transformations, things dying off, and new things coming in. So what I like to do now is I want to shuffle up our cards and see what one chakra we need to work on during this week's energy. And if you're not aware, the moon itself for today is in Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. And when we think about Gemini, it's about how we think things up, how we review, how we reflect. So you might very well be in your feelings today regarding that Gemini energy. And when we think about Gemini, it's also in Mars, or should I say Mars is in Gemini. And Mars is about action, taking action on those thoughts. So, and again, asking yourself where Gemini is on your chart. So let's see what's in store for us. And in case you didn't know it, the moon rotates every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 days, something is shifting regarding the element of where the moon sits. And because the element is air, it's in reference to how you're thinking, what you're thinking about. Lots of thoughts going on. You may find yourself pondering over different things. So let's see what our card is for today based off all this energy. Interesting card to show up based on the word pondering. Financial abundance. How many of you are pondering over your finances? Maybe you're wishing to have more finances, or maybe you're overthinking your finances. Well, my suggestion would be, as the chakra is, start visualizing yourself in financial abundance, having so much money that it's just so easy just to put it out there, to purchase things, to connect with those different services that you would like to have in your life based on financial abundance. In order to have financial abundance, you have to believe you deserve financial abundance. You also have to you also have to believe you have financial abundance in order to have financial abundance. I know that sounds really weird, but it's based on the law of attraction. If you sit in a state of not having enough money, then you literally block yourself from having money. So really, really, really want to focus on knowing you have as much money as you need. And one of my affirmations that I say every day is, as I need money, I receive money. As I need money, I receive money. And anytime I need money, money shows up. And it really does work just that magically. So if you can apply that into your state of being, your state of mind, and start visualizing it, you'll become very powerful. 1 and 7. 1 is a new way of thinking about money. 7 is believing you already have money. So that balance of attracting it in works out to be an 8 energy. In numerology, number 8 is about harmony and balance, but it's also about abundance. In astrology, it's associated with Scorpio energy. So letting go of the old mindset about how you believe about money and bringing in a new mindset of your belief of money. And know that there's unlimited sources of money. Your money is never scarce. Money is never going to run out. And as long as you believe you always have money, you will always have money. So that is our card for the day. Focus on your third eye to visualize yourself being literally surrounded by piles and piles and piles of money. And know that in order to have more money, you have to be willing to spend money. You have to be willing to invest. If you think you're going to make the money and then just hold on to it and keep it in, let's say, a bank account, that does not get the money flowing. So make sure if you receive money, make sure you spend that money out. You can save a little bit of it, but make sure you got that flow in and out going on. All right, guys. So that's your card for today. Do the work. Focus on that third eye. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back here, I'm going to have my amazing guest with me. And we're going to have an amazing conversation. Do the work. Get your water. And I'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Nick Rafter, journalist, writer, editor. I'm happy to be offering copy editing and line editing services at competitive industry rates. If you have a book or any document that needs to be edited and thoroughly looked through, please contact me at nickrafter@gmail.com. Let's discuss how to get that work done. That's Nick Rafter, NICKRAFTER, @gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.
Hello, my name is Reverend Nancy Butler-Rouse. I'm an internationally published artist, author, and poet. Please stay tuned for the end of this commercial to see how to order my latest book, Never Broken, Volume 3. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. For those of you just tuning in, I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, and I will introduce my guest in just a second. If you are tuning in just now, remember to like, share, and comment on today's show, and you can catch the beginning of this on the replay on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, and of course here. But I'm going to share a little bit about the beginning right now with our card for today, which is about financial abundance. It's a biggie. Many of us are always stressing over our finances, but when we stress, we block. So my recommendation and suggestion and tip is to focus on knowing that you always have money. My affirmation is I receive money as I need it, and it always comes in. Focus on that. That's your third eye energy. That's set 1 in 7 is 8. Let go of your old process behind money and be open to transforming into a new mindset so you can attract the financial abundance for today. So that's our card for today. And again, go back and watch it from the beginning later so you can catch all the insights that I shared regarding our energy for today, because there's a lot of it, a lot of shifting going on. But I want to turn our attention over to my guest, Miss Reverend Nancy. Did I say your last name wrong or right? Ruth, how do we say your last name, my dear?
House, just like house.
Like house.
Yeah.
I had a feeling it was that way, but I'm like, am I going to? Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you today, my dear?
I am absolutely blessed. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for agreeing to be here today. I'm so excited to hear about your journey based on your amazing book, Never Broken. But before we dive into that journey, just give us a little, like maybe 2 or 3 minute conversation about who you are. Let's go there first.
Yeah. Okay, who am I? Let's try to sum that up in a couple of minutes. My friends will be giggling about now. So I'm originally from Kentucky. Born and raised, my father was a minister. 2006, I drove the tractor trailer here myself with my 1991 Bonneville on the back. My 2 kids in the front seat. So we're definitely transplants. I was born hearing impaired, but I never let that stop me. You know, God always makes a way, you know, the powers that be always, if we have faith in it, it'll always be there for us. Like you said, positive in, positive out.
Definitely.
I don't water down what you said, but you know. So along in my journey, my artwork and my poetry expressed how it is for me to perceive this world. You know, God has given me enhanced other senses, you know, my sense of perception, my sense of smell, sense of taste. Vibrations are more sensitive. I can feel them. So my artwork, I did this series, Never Broken. So in Never Broken, the outside is battered, right? So no matter what happens to it, they can't take away what's on the inside. And on the cover of all 3 of my books is my artwork that you unzip, and what's on the inside. It's your hopes, your inspiration, your dreams. And how that book came to be, a good friend of mine in Argentina, Deborah, she said, I'm going to publish your book. And this was maybe about 5-6 years ago now. And she was an art collector of my work. And every time she came over from Argentina, she bought another book. I mean, bought another artwork. So she published the first book, and she sent me a picture and her hand over the artwork, and it said Never Broken. I was so humbled and honored that she found faith in my story and helped spread my word, So I've been blessed ever since then. She said, how quick can you get on the plane out here? I said, tomorrow. So I went out to Argentina. Can't speak the language because I cannot hear the language, but God made a way. And I was just very fortunate and been inspired ever since just to keep creating artwork, keep writing. We're the sum of our survival, not the sum of our damage, and that's my message in all of my book, whether I'm writing about being happy, sad, angry, just life in general with children. I just want my message to be pure and honest. We all are momentarily broken and we lose pieces of ourselves, but what we do with those pieces is what defines us.
I love that. I love that. Yes. And when you speak about never broken, I mean, that itself is a very strong message, because when we think, as you said, we all have little pieces that break away because it's our journey, it's our story to getting to where we have to go. And the fact of that you were born hearing impaired, which then heightened all your other amazing senses, and I like to always call on our spiritual gifts, where
yes, absolutely.
Where you actually get to feel, you get to see things, not just from what you're seeing in front of you, but you get to see beyond that everyday 3D version, which I believe is what has really helped you in your journey in writing your book. Now, tell us a little bit about your book. Like the obviously the title is Never Broken. Tell us about that story.
So how it began, in my third book, I actually discovered older writings of when I started in my 20s. And if putting that in perspective, I started writing when I was my kids' age now. And I forgot about this entire book because I was raised in the hills, Appalachian of Kentucky, and being brought up on public assistance, always wore hand-me-downs, And then when I went on to have children, where I'm from, they encourage you early on. So I was actually 17 when I gave birth to my son. And I was 19 when I gave birth to my daughter. And I started writing because it really was hard. When you're from a small town like that, the people are beautiful and amazing. But unfortunately, there are those who hide their prejudiced beliefs behind titles.
Yes.
And they have hurt so many people. So when people ask me, what is your denomination? I see you're a reverend. I said, I don't claim any particular title in denomination. Under God's eyes, we are all equal. There's something damaged in all of us, but as my good friend Edwin Velasquez says, that's what makes us equals. And the reason why I wanted to show people what I survived from are my writings always pleasant? No, sometimes they're painful. The scripture says to be angry and sin not. So there were some days that I was angry, but I just had to get it out on word form. And I think we are so dishonest with ourselves and others around us when we stop and say, hey, how are you doing? And we're like, oh, I'm fine. And we're not fine. And we don't deal with the energy that we just keep bottling up. Yes. So this is why I'm vulnerable and say, hey, it's okay to be happy. Hey, it's okay to be in love. Or, hey, it's okay to be heartbroken right now. Take your time to release those energies just so you can begin anew.
Yes. And I think too, when the average person actually really asks, how are you doing? They're not really asking because they really care. It's just again, this old, I don't know where it came from, this old belief or this old habit that we all got in the habit of doing, where when we come across somebody or we connect, it's like, oh, how are you? And in our minds, we're saying, really, we don't really want to know how you really are, which is why I think so many people do walk around saying, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, you know. But I actually heard this not too long ago, I forget from where. And I think when someone says to somebody else, how are you doing? I think it gives a person the opportunity to, rather than just using the words, I'm fine, using words like, I'm amazing, I'm blessed. You know, so it's not no longer explaining how they actually feel, but how they actually are. And I think if we can get into that place, you know, and again, where somebody can be sincere regarding that question of how are you. So when I ask somebody how they are, I am truly being sincere. I really want to know how they are. I don't want to hear, well, I'm fine. Because as you know, you feel energy, you can sense energy. You know when you're asking someone how they feel, you know when they say they're fine, you're like, really? Like, can you please give me the true story here? You know? And I think again, it's one of those belief systems and habits that we all just developed over years of just saying to people, oh, I'm fine. And we just push it down. So I'm glad and I'm extremely happy that you get to share with people, and that whole process of, and I'm sure when you connect with people, people are very well and transparent with you because they feel safe to share. How does that work for you? Do you get a lot of people who are willing to share how they really feel?
Actually, I do, and I feel like I inherited a lot of my father's talents and gifts. God rest his soul. Even when he was in his wheelchair and had an oxygen tank, because you know he was a vet from Vietnam, and that's the reason why I was born deaf, because of the Agent Orange. Even in my father's last days, when people would ask, you know, how are you? And he'd say, I am blessed. But, you know, he would drive all up and down the sidewalks and people can just pour their heart out to him. And I have to say, I'm blessed in the same regards that people feel agency and a safe haven to be able to express themselves. Because I find it's very important. We don't know in that moment how much we've touched others' lives. Yes. Case in point, Monday, I had my book signing, and a lot of my close friends were, and they each read from my books and how it touched them. And it was such a humbling and blessed experience, you know, not to put myself on a pedestal, but to know, okay, those few words made a difference to someone's life. And we don't know when we make a difference. And that one little seed of faith could help spring a whole new life for them. Exactly. So we always have to be accountable for our words with others and how we interact with others, even if it's a brief moment. Pay it forward, give a genuine smile. You know, it goes a long way. It really does.
Beautiful. I love that. So what I would like you to do, if you wouldn't mind, just share your website with us, because we do have to take a commercial break and I want our viewers to be able to connect with you.
Absolutely. So it is my first name, RousehouseArt.com. RousehouseArt. RousehouseArt.com.
Excellent. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And for those of you who have, again, who are watching with us, feel free to put those comments in. Let us know what you're thinking right now. If you've had a chance to connect with Nancy prior to today's show, let us know your thoughts about her book if you've read it already. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kitty Foss.
And I'm Amy J.
And we're Intuition of the Soul. We are a Facebook and YouTube group that has created a sacred spiritual place to look at your spiritual practices.
And there's too much to tell you about what we do, but let me tell you, we have weekly activities, we have monthly activities, and you are not going to want to miss our Spiritual Practitioner series. So join us on Intuition of the Soul.
Aloha. Aloha.
Hey, this is Joe Monkman, and I am a personal development trainer. And that means that I help people step into their leadership roles, take their place as a visionary, really understand their own mastery in the world so that they can really find their place at the buffet of life. And if you want to know more, you can find me on my Facebook page at Joe Monkman and joemonkman@gmail.com.
Hi guys, I'm Kendrick Cortez Greer, personal astrologer and astrological counselor here in Brooklyn, New York. I've been an astrologer for over 23 years now, providing astrological readings, counseling sessions, workshops, and corporate events all throughout the tri-state area. I've been very blessed and lucky to have clients all throughout the United States and beyond. If you're interested in a reading that is warm, heartfelt, honest, and conducive to speaking to one of your best friends, please contact me at 917-863-7528. You can also email me at kendrickstar@gmail.com. That's Kendrick, STAR, @gmail.com. And for you Insta people, find me on Instagram at Kendrick Cortez Astrology. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Toodles.
Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. For those of you who are just tuning in, remember to share, like, and comment. Know you can come back and watch this on the replay. Since you did miss the first part of this amazing conversation, you could do so by watching it on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, YouTube, or even here on Strong Island Television. In any case, I want to give a shout out to everyone who is joining us right now. Just to mention some of you, we have Rosemary, we have Anne, we have Sarah. So thank you for watching, and continue to put your comments in. We also have Lisa here as well. So put your comments in, let us know what's keeping you here and what's exciting you at this very moment. During our commercial break, I had a chance to chat with Nancy to find out a little bit more about her book in regards to my big question, because again, as for those of you who were here for the first part, Nancy mentioned that when she was a child, she was born with a hearing impairment. So my big question for you, Nancy, how painful is the silence?
So for me, growing up, I had to pretend that I could function in here. A lot of I missed information. So I missed social cues. So sometimes I would say something awkwardly that didn't blend in the conversation. And I got shunned a lot. You know, people thought I was awkward, or I was rude, or I was non-responsive. And due to the lack of communication, it really caused me to put a wall up. And I became recluse for a while until I could find ways to meld better with society. Case in point, my 6th grade year, my mother moved me to West Virginia for the year. I had a very thick, rich Appalachian accent, being from a little redneck town. West Virginia, of all, thought I had learning disabilities, and they put me in the lowest learning disability class there was. So that whole year, I recorded myself on an old tape deck in my good ear. Every day I recorded my voice until I lost most of that accent and was able to at least articulate my words better. And I started learning to read lips. Now, some people became uncomfortable for them because then they see I'm staring at their mouth. So I had to watch how I interacted with people and how they responded. But thank God I was able to, for the most part, communicate with others. And it just opened doors for me. I know right before COVID, I started asking people to repeat themselves. And some of my closest friends were like, I think your hearing got worse. I said, no, I'm finally being honest with you. I don't want to miss out on what you have to say because your words are important to me. Your words have always been important to me. Forgive me for not being honest and telling you I missed some of that information. And I feel that others need to be honest when they need extra help in communicating, whether they just can't articulate their words or whether they might be slightly autistic and they're not understanding some of the social cues. But we all, in some miss the mark sometimes in conversation. But we need to be honest and say, I'm sorry, I interpreted it this way, but what did you really mean? And I think that has brought me this far, just being more open, communicating. And I think if others were more honest with how they felt, what they perceived, I think the world would be a better place because we misunderstand people on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And I thank you so much for sharing that insight because again, we do misinterpret. Even those of us who can hear very well, we do misinterpret in regards to what a person is saying. Because again, sometimes the message that the person is bringing out and the other person listening to it may also be bringing their own preconceived insights into it because we all have things going on in our subconsciousness from our past that we might be already in our brain thinking about like, oh, how does this connect to me? And then it brings in different things that might have occurred for that other person's in their past. So they end up overthinking but not listening to what the person's actually saying. So they may very well misunderstand or miss something in that conversation. So I think it's really beautiful of you to share this with us in reference to based on your disability of not being able to hear in the past and how you can say to somebody, can you repeat that again? And being transparent enough to say, no, it's not that my hearing is getting worse. I just wasn't telling you honestly in the past that I really couldn't hear everything you said. So I think that's beautiful, a beautiful message. Beautiful message. Now, in your book, Never Broken, if you wouldn't mind, like, do you have your book in front of you?
Which one?
The most recent one, the one with the one that you just did the signing for this past weekend.
Okay. Volume 3. Yes, I have it in front of me.
Now, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just run through your table of contents in reference to, like, just to give us a little nibble of what the table of contents sounds like for those of us who...
So I didn't have a table of contents, and the reason being I wanted the viewer to see how it was for me to perceive sound. So you're going to be missing some of the, there's no page numbers, there's no table of contents.
I love that.
And there's no right or wrong way to read this book. You can start from the back and work your way forward. Because I wanted people to understand how my perception is.
I love that. And it's just so interesting. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So communication is important, but the most important thing is comprehension. And we all comprehend differently.
Yes.
So I can actually, if you wanted me to, read one of my favorite poems from this book. It's a short one.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So it says, no, you all have to forgive me. When I was born, they actually, late life, they said it's a miracle that I can even speak. So God has blessed me with a voice. Sometimes it cracks. So I'm going to do the best I can. As friends you are, to my dearest of friends, it would be painful to depart, but in this writing, I let it flow from my heart. You were the comfort in my pain. You were the brilliant, colorful bow in the gloomy clouds of rain. You are my laughter. You are the uplifted chin in all the strain. You are my walk. You are my talk. You are my song and my peace. You stood in the gap when I did no wrong. In bitterness, our friendships made them sweet. I think the heavens above we were allowed to meet. You are what made me care. You are what taught me to share. You are the happiness in my lonely days. You are the order in all my dismays. Though my life wasn't perfect, past all my faults. When others tried to taint me, you shielded me from their thoughts. You shared my mishaps. We called them adventures. Perhaps that's the best ones you and I should remember. You are the flowers in my winter, warm breezes during the fall. You and all my imperfection. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Both are unexpected, but this is you after all. You and all my imperfections held the golden keys. You are what made me live. You are there when I cried. You laughed, shared, and got me by. But most of the things you were is what it took for me being what I am.
I think that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So what we're going to do is we are going to take another commercial break. Let our viewers again know that website so they can reach out to you.
Yes, it is my last name, Rouse, houseart.com, ROUSEHOUSEART.com.
Beautiful. So we're going to take that quick commercial break. And when we come back, Nancy's going to be sharing a tip with you and whatever final words she wants to share with you. And I'm also going to be giving Nancy a reading, which she wasn't aware of. It's a little surprise I do with all my guests. So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm CJ. The Author's Porch is a community where you find good books and good people. We collaborate with services that deliver quality to authors and publish a magazine for authors by authors. Come by, let us feature you or review your book. Coffee is always on, and no matter what time you arrive or where you come from, the porch light is always on.
Each of us has a mission. What's your mission? Would you like to become a community health resource specialist so you can help your family and your community? For more information on this new training, email me at terry@morsewellness.com. That's TERRY @MORSE wellness.com. You can become a community health resource specialist.
If you are turned off by conventional medicine and their mantra, do you want meds for that? There's a better option. I'm Gabriella Mihalichin, medical intuitive and healer. Let me help you find the root cause of your illness and guide you through healing. My intuitive method directs your body to heal itself and removes barriers to healing. I invite you to schedule a session today at alivehealthsolutions.com.
Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. For those of you who are just tuning in, remember to share, like, and comment. And you'll also have to come back and watch on the replay, which you can watch on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, YouTube, and many other platforms, because you definitely want to watch this from the beginning to learn more about Nancy and her journey in regards to her amazing book, Never Broken, and her story that goes along with this amazing book. Now, of course, during the commercial breaks, I always chat with my guests and learn more about them during the commercial break. So I just learned something amazing about Nancy's book. Nancy, would you share about what the front cover is based on the 3D?
So the cover is actually a photograph of my artwork. So the outside of the canvas has been beaten, battered, mended back together. And the title of the artwork is Never Broken, just as my books are. So when you unzip them, it's all your hopes, your inspirations, your dreams. They can't take that away from you. And when you put on the 3D glasses, it separates the layers and creates a visual vibration so you can perceive how I hear sound.
Beautiful. I love that. That is so interesting. And for our audience, could you provide one tip for our audience that they can take away and maybe implement into their life immediately?
So what I'll say to the audience, and I always say to all my friends, life is precious. It's short. You blink and all of a sudden 5 years has went by. Take time to savor the moments with, your partner, your family, your friends. Slow down and savor those moments. That is the most precious thing. We have to not take any person, place, or thing for granted. So just soak that in. Slow down and just try to savor and love those and appreciate those that are around you. That's very important. And also, you need to remember, when things happen to you, you may be momentarily broken down, but what you do with those pieces is what defines you. You can become a victim or you can become a survivor. And I chose to become a survivor, and I challenge every one of you. Choose the high road. I know it's hard, but put those pieces back together and make yourself anew.
Yes, yes. And as I always say, we all have a story to share. And I believe that just like Nancy, where she experienced being hearing impaired, she applied that journey into her story. And that is her story. That is what she was born in this lifetime to share with everybody. in regards to how she took, as she would put it, something that could have been horrific and blocked her from stepping forward. She took it and made it her message. So there's this expression, our mess is our message. And we all have a mess. Every one of us in this world. There's not a person walking on earth who doesn't have a mess going on in their journey. Apply that mess, figure it out, learn from it, and then bring it out into your message. Because someone out there in the world is waiting for you to write that story so they too can heal. Because we all have a story, and we all should be writing a book. So with that being said, Nancy, are you open to receiving a reading?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with my deck? I know that you and I are fairly new to each other. Are you familiar with my deck?
I'm not familiar with that one, no.
Okay. Well, it's a very unique deck. I created it. So it's not a tarot deck. It's not an oracle deck. It is, I haven't really established yet what it falls under in a category. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you just say your full name that you go by, that you relate to, not necessarily that's on your birth certificate, but whatever your full name that you relate to in the waking world. Say that name out loud 3 times for me so I can tap into your energy.
Reverend Nancy Ruth Rouse. Reverend Nancy Ruth Rouse. Reverend Nancy Ruth Rouse.
Excellent. And if you wouldn't mind, just your month and day that you're born, not the year.
January 8th.
Ah, we got a Capricorn here.
An old goat.
So just a little bit about your birthday based on numerology. You're in your 6th energy year. And what that means is that this is your year to heal and be the healer, which doesn't surprise me to why you write the books you write. That's the energy we have for this year. When we think about that 6, you're also aligned with the collective energy. Every year, your energy is going to match the collective energy, which makes sense to why the journey you're on in reference to helping others through your journey. You will always be aligned to the collective energy, so that connection you have with the world as well, if that makes sense. Yes?
Yes, it does. It does make sense.
Yes. So now I'm going to pull a card and see what's going on for you personally based on all this energy that we have. Oh, quite interesting. To start off with, let's talk about that chakra color, which is the throat chakra. Okay, this is how you express yourself, and you express yourself through writing and through art. That's your self-expression, to bring things out. When we think about the throat chakra, it's also connected to the hearing as well, how you hear and how you've created this new way so you can hear and express yourself. Now, the word play is important for you right now, very important. And it's really important for your inner child. So to do things that activate the things your inner child would have enjoyed doing in reference to playing, whether it's through your art, through your writing, and through any other way of play. Now, your number 1 and 6 works out to be 7. So we talk about 7. This is about taking some time to go within and explore the energy that you have going on right now, and recognizing what I'm hearing loud and clear right now is when we think of 7 on astrology, it's based on your contracts. There's a new contract coming in for you. You're going to be signing a new contract with a new partner for something coming forward. The only thing I'm guiding you to take note on, should that contract come into play within the next 2 weeks, see what you can do to hold off on signing it within the next 2 weeks. Sign it more or less the 2nd or 3rd week in October. And the only reason why I'm suggesting that is because that Mercury retrograde, because it would be coming in right now, it might be something that you might be talking about already. You might be very much aware of this contract. And if you are, if this is something that you've been chatting about for a while, then you can discard the delay in signing the contract. But if this is something that's really brand new and right now you're saying to yourself, oh, wow, there's a new contract coming in, then delay signing that contract until we're in at least the 3rd week of October, which is going to put you more into like Libra, Scorpio energy and out of Mercury retrograde. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, yes.
Okay. Are you aware of any contracts Are you in the middle of having a conversation with somebody about partnering up with them?
I've actually got a couple of things that I've actually applied for and reached out to. So I'm still waiting to hear back. I did get notification some things were being reviewed. So I will definitely heed to your sound advice.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm loving that. And remember again, the chakra here is throat, how you express yourself and even how you listen and the guidance that you receive. And as you mentioned earlier on in the show, being that you're hearing impaired, it activates all your other spiritual gifts. And being hearing impaired is one of your spiritual gifts as well, because it gives you an ability to hear in a different way and to really become more attuned to how people actually speak. So that is a special gift in itself. And I love the fact that this card showed up for you. Love that. You'll have to keep me in the loop in regards to the contracts that are coming in. Now, do you have any final words?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Do you have any final words you would like to share with our audience?
I just cannot iterate enough. Positive in, positive out. And this last little piece of advice, you need to catch yourself, because positive in, positive out. So for every negative thing you think or say out loud about yourself, write down 7 positives. You need to rewire your brain and spiritually uplift yourself, because you cannot serve from an empty cup. And until you take care of the negative energy on yourself and your self-esteem, you're not going to be fully adequate to help others. So for every negative thing, I want 7 positive things. And I tell this to my family, friends, people that I mentor and tutor. 7 positive things. Always, always, always embrace the good things about yourself, and you'll be surprised how fast you'll grow spiritually.
I love that. I love that. And again, because I have an Aquarius moon, which means my brain is always overthinking everything, I have a feeling I know why you chose 7, but what is your reason for choosing 7 things?
To me, 7 is a very spiritual number. It's mentioned in the Bible. It's to me, you know, the 7th day, you know, God rested, and we have to think about that. We have to give our spirit time to rest. We have to rest from negative energy. We have to rest from negative outlooks. So those 7 positive things far outweigh than 1 negative. And that's just what always stuck with me.
I love that. I had a feeling that's what you were going to say regarding that 7. I just wanted to put it out there because my brain went, okay, why 7? And I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there like, okay, so why 7? But it makes a lot of sense. I love that. It was a pleasure, Nancy, having you here today. And I'm sure all of our viewers who are watching live really are excited about your journey. And those who are watching on the replay, I'm sure they will be too. Again, just share one last time that website, so if anyone wants to reach out, that they can.
Yes. So it is rousehouseart.com. So that's ROUSEHOUSEART, rousehouseart.com.
Excellent, excellent. And again, anyone who's interested in learning more about Nancy's books or getting her books, feel free to reach out to her. She'll give you all that information. So with that being said, we're going to take that quick commercial break. I will be back with today's conclusion of today's show. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Reverend Nancy Butler-Bounce. I'm an internationally published artist, author, and poet. Please stay tuned for the end of this commercial to see how to order my latest book, Never Broken, Volume 3. Thank you.
Did you know that stress and unprocessed emotions can store in your body, creating more muscle tension and pain, causing illness and disease to flare up? With the help of Chakra Balance Reiki Healing, you can begin to feel better within 1 session. Hello, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, medical astrologer, master of numerology, and the creator of the Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast Deck. And I would like to help you release issues from your tissues as you release emotional weight and begin to feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. For more information, email healingwithin76@gmail.com. Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. For those of you who are just tuning in, oh, you've missed an amazing show today. We are right at the very end of today's show, but please, please, please go back and watch from the very beginning. You can on many of the platforms, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, YouTube, and so many other platforms for that matter. But you definitely want to come back and watch because it was an amazing show. My amazing guest, Nancy, as she shared her story of her amazing book, Never Broken, and the amazing story behind her book. So definitely want to come back and watch that. Anyway, for those of you who are curious to know who's our next guest, well, two things. I will be away for 2 weeks, which means the next guest will be back on October 9th. And if you watched last week's episode, who was my guest, Nick Rafter, he will be back on with me 2 weeks from today. And I don't quite know the title just yet, so that's a mystery for all of us. But of course, stay tuned, same time. Nick and I will be back having another conversation. Him and I always have an amazing conversation. I'm sure you'll want to watch. So with all that being said, as I always say, every week, week after week, I have amazing partners that have some amazing things going on in their lives, and they want to share them with you. So here we go. There is a flyer for every one of my guests who have a promo going on, so check out the flyers. Here we go. The Author's Porch magazine and podcast. Kendra Greer Astrology, Spirit Messages and Energy Insight. Morse Wellness, Find Your Place with Nick Rafter. Intuition of the Soul, Never Broken. And 3-week Body and Soul Transformation Challenge. As I mentioned, there is a flyer for all of those promos. Feel free to look at those flyers, connect with whomever it is you need to connect with. I'm super, super excited to be here with you today. Looking forward to being back in 2 weeks from now. But before I return back, remember, stay connected with your planet, stay connected with yourself. As our guest Nancy mentioned, the 7th day is a day for rest. Whatever that 7th day is for you, remember rest is extremely important to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. And that's when we actually do get our downloads and our vibration gets to rise even higher. So rest, rest, rest. That's my message to you for today. Till 2 weeks from now, have a great one. Bye-bye.